Graham. On right. To Ohio 53 North.
Here. Three Bass Islands. There's North Bass, Middle Bass, and South Bass. They were named after the fishing industry that they had in this area. Delaware Street. Delaware Street is actually named after one of the grapes they grow here for making wine. And I always forget one. I can never remember it. I don't know why. Now if you look across the bay, directly in front of us, there is a island there. It's called Middle Bass Island. One person was killed and many more were injured. They never reopened after that. And from what I hear, the state of Ohio has it now. On your right, you'll see the jet docks, where the Jet Express docks. And the Jet Express is the fastest ferry in North America. It's a catamaran-style twin water jet boat. And then if you look on our left, this is DeRivera Park. DeRivera at one time bought the entire island and divided it up into smaller sections, 10-acre sections to sell. He recommended everybody grow grapes. And one thing he did for the village was he donated this park. But in the agreement, when they accepted the park as a gift, it has to remain a park. They cannot develop this land or put businesses on it. It always has to remain a park. Mr. DeRivera, when he went to Sandusky, Ohio to buy supplies when he first bought the island, ran into Valentine Doler, a businessman, very smart businessman, who ran a mercantile shop. He asked him to move here to the island. Boardwalk was at one time the Doler Docks. The Doler Docks is where they used to drop off passengers from the steamships. They would come from Toledo, Detroit, and Cleveland. Coming up on your left is the Doler Mansion. When Mr. Doler moved here, he had 6 daughters. One daughter married, but sadly never had children. There are no Doler descendants on the island at this time. The Doler Mansion is the Puddin Bay Winery. It's also our first stop for the day. Sit out on the grounds. They're all open. The grounds are, so you're more than welcome anywhere on the grounds. And they do. Anyone that would like to get out here, we'll be back in an hour to pick you up. But part of my job does have to stop. Oh, sorry. Now, if you look directly across the bay, now's probably a good time to point out. You see that shiny spot there and the windows down below it? That's Gibraltar Island, and that is actually called Cook's Castle. Jay Cook was a financier of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln's campaign, and the railroads on the mainland. He actually owned that island for many generations. The Cook family had it until one of his descendants decided to donate it to the Ohio State University. The Franz Theodore Stone Laboratory, and they actually do freshwater marine research there. They have internships from Ohio State University, come up here and work in that for the summer. Coming up on our left, with all the umbrellas out, is the Cruise Nest. It's now a private members only club, but it used to be one of the hotels on the island. And the people that used to stay there during the winter were the ones that cut the ice out of the bay and pack the ice houses. The Kiln Bay Yacht Club was established back in 1886. It's on your left. And the main office on your left and the other office on your right is the Miller boat docks. This is originally where the Miller boat docked until the 70s when the docks got washed out. They built the limestone docks at the south end of the island, and that's where they drop their customers off now. But they still use these docks to tie their boats up when they're not using them, and to put them there for the winter. On your left, you'll see typical homes of the 1900s. And I would like to point out that we were on State Route 357. This is the only state route on the island, only state-funded road on the island. All the rest of the roads are county roads. State Route 357 runs approximately 2.5 miles on the island. A little over 20 years ago, State Route 357 was washed out due to a flood. When the state repaired it, they placed these cement blocks on the right to keep the road from being washed away again. It doesn't stop the water, but it does hold the erosion back. Now's a good time to look at Ferry's monument. That square at the top of it is actually the observation deck. On your right is one of the smallest state parks in the Park District. It's Oak Point State Park, and it's only about 1 acre in size. If you look to your right over the water, you will actually see a red brick building with a green roof. That was the Ohio State Fish Hatchery. It no longer operates as a fish hatchery now, but it's an aquatic education center. But it will not be open until the 15th of this month. The gray and white building on our right was the Federal Fish Hatchery, and that has been turned over to the Ohio State University. And that is part of the Franz Theodore Stone Laboratory. An interesting fact about both of these fish hatcheries is they are both sitting on a piece of property that used to hold the largest ice house on the island. It was a commercial ice house. They would chop blocks of ice out of the bay, pack them in sawdust, and they would last all through the summer, and they would sell that ice on the mainland. This is going to get a little bumpy, so hang on to something. If you look to your left, or right, sorry, if you look right across the water, you'll see Rattlesnake Island. Rattlesnake Island is a very narrow island, and it's long, and it has 2 smaller islands to the left of it, and that's why it resembles the tail of a rattlesnake. We're on the side of the island known as the Actors Colony. Back in the 20s and 30s, the vaudeville actors used to come and vacation on this side of the island. The brown house on the right was a house that Anne Harding stayed in. She was one of the actresses in that time. The first people we know that made use of the island were the American Indians. They would use this as a stopping point between Ohio and Canada. The first white men we know that came to the island were French Canadians. The French Canadians came down, they cut a lot of the trees down off the island and sold the wood to ships that were sailing on the lake. The first ones we know that claimed the property of the island in northern Ohio was the Connecticut Land Association. They held the property for a while and then in a business deal transferred it to a Connecticut judge by the name of Stone or Brown. Judge Brown and his family enjoyed the property for many generations and got along quite well with the Indians. When Judge Brown's family decided to sell the island, they went to New York and they found a merchant marine by the name of Jose DeRivera. They sold it to Jose DeRivera and his plan was to raise sheep. After finding out how well the grapes grow here, they decided to sell the property in 10-acre plots and recommend everybody raise grapes. If that it led to the property, or the island, being 60% covered with vineyards and over 2 dozen wineries in operation on the island. Unfortunately, due to prohibition, most of the wineries failed, and now the only vineyards on the island belong to Heineman Winery. They're the oldest family-owned winery in the state of Ohio. They're the only winery on the island that actually grows and presses their own grapes here on the island. The Puddin' Bay Winery, everything's imported. These guys actually make the wine here on the island. The Heineman's Winery started in 1888. It's also built on the side of the island that has most of the caves. There are 28 known caves on this island. The old barn on my right and the one on my left is said to be the original barns from Jose DeRivera's homestead. At one time there were 4 caves you could tour on the island. Emma's Cave, Paradise Cave, Ferry's Cave, and Crystal Cave. Now we only have 2 safety reasons. Paradise Cave and Mammoth Cave have both been closed due to safety reasons. On your left you see one of the typical vineyards. They use cedar posts for hafting of wire so that they can tie the vines up to the wires up off the ground. Cedar posts because cedar is resilient to bugs and to rot. It is said that Perry's Cave was named from Commodore Perry After the Battle of Lake Erie, he had nowhere to keep the British soldiers he had captured. So he put them on the cave until he could get reinforcements to transfer them to the mainland. Catawba Avenue. A neat thing about Catawba Avenue is back in the 1900s they had a trolley system that ran alongside. We are now entering Ferry's Cave and Family Fun Center. There's an antique mall which is free to walk through, not mall, but museum that's free to walk through. There's a snack shack directly across from that. There's Ferry's Cave, and then there's the Butterfly House, and the Butterfly House has a very large gift shop in front of it. There's also the miniature golf and mining for gemstones. Now the fun packs that some of you have, the mining for gemstones is not included. That would be an extra fee. Yeah, it says museum on it, not mall. Sorry. Unfortunately. Okay. Winery built above a cave called Crystal Cave. They call it Crystal Cave because it has the largest geode ever found. They offer cave tours, tours of the winery. They also offer wine tasting and grape juice for younger children. Some of the bumps in this driveway you want to be sitting. I mentioned back in the 1900s that they had a trolley system to run alongside of this Catawba Avenue. And that was with good reason. We're a little bit of a walk from town, and at the end of this road where the state park is now used to be the world's largest hotel. The Victory Hotel was the size of a football field, 6 stories tall. It was 625 rooms. Had 3 elevators. It had incandescent lighting, steam heating, its own power generation plant, and the first in the country with a co-ed swimming pool. Unfortunately, it only operated for 27 years before it caught fire and burned to the ground. I don't know any of the facts on that one, but if you do a little bit of quick math, that hit right about the time of the Great Depression. And I kind of wonder if there was anything to do with maybe owning money on it.
Maybe.
They say that you can still see pieces of the foundation in the pool in the campground at the state park. Crown Hill Cemetery is on our right. Valentine Doler and Jose DeRivera are both buried in Crown Hill Cemetery. That brings us to our next stop, the Nature and Wildlife Museum. It's quite interesting. Usually the kids get into it pretty good. If anyone would like to get off, I'll let you out here because you have to be careful crossing the road though.
Off we go. Enjoy.
As you can imagine, life was not that easy when they settled the island back in the 1800s. If you didn't have it on the island, you had to bring it to the island. And it was very difficult to bring things to the island once the ice froze over. And pick up any necessities that they were out of or just could not get by without, and drag them back across the ice to the mainland or to the island. And every now and then they would run across open cracks in the ice. It was a dangerous job, and it didn't happen every week, so just kind of peaceful back here, less traffic. Before World War II, the island was quite a large resort. And we are getting back to where it's a large resort again, but it is nowhere near what it used to be before World War II. But when the island was originally settled, it was settled by fishermen and farmers. Now the only farming being done on here is actually either a home garden or the vineyards for the wine. And the fishing is all but not anymore. Most fish that you buy at a restaurant when it says Lake Erie perch or walleye is caught in Canadian waters because they have less restrictions and shipped down. They have two cemeteries on the island. This is the newest one, and this is the one that they're still using. The cinder block building on our right is called the Twine House, or Twine Shack, and it's actually where all the fishing nets were made and repaired. There's a large grass field in front of it where they used to spread fishing nets out and let them dry so they did not rot. I think this is kind of a neat statue on the right, and I really like what they did with that brass bed.
Yeah.
This repurposed for that. I thought it would make a nice strawberry bed. That way you can put netting over it and keep the birds out of it. The island gave them year-round connection to the mainland. They made several flights a day to Fort Clinton from the airport, and they've been a Shuttle reception flight. They offer helicopter tours or airplane tours throughout the summer. And the other thing that the airport brought to the island was school system. So they participate with the base school. And there was students that fall in out every day. They fly here and fly home every day. Definitely cooler than bus. On your left, you see the Rebel House. It's now a private residence. That was once a 40-room hotel with a restaurant that is known for spaghetti dinners and fried chicken dinners. They say during the 20s you can get a fried chicken platter there for 50 cents. $1855, I believe it is. Yep, 1855. The trees on our right are mostly cedar trees. Those are planted on purpose so they have poles to replace the ones in the vineyard. And the road that comes out on our left was the original road that took you down to the original Catholic Church. Jose DeRivera donated 2 pieces of property for them to build churches on here in town, well, on the island. The Catholic Church was built out here, out of town, and sadly caught fire and burned down. If you actually go down that road, you will see a sidewalk still there. The entrance to Mammoth Cave used to be. Where they closed it, they said the ceiling was starting to collapse on it, so they closed the bubble. And the restaurant coming up on your right is the Goat, Soup and Whiskey. It's a German-themed restaurant and bar. They have a chocolate museum in there. I hear they have very good chocolate there also. Now on the right-hand side, just as these trees break, you'll see the Catholic Church they built to replace the other one. This is Mother of Sorrow Catholic Church. It's made out of Kelly's limestone from Kelly's Island. When they built the expansion on the left, they actually tried to match the limestone as closely as possible. And on your left-hand side is St. Paul's Episcopal Church. The oldest church on the island, it says. That's still on the original property that Jose DeRivera donated. Coming up on your right is Put-in-Bay School System. Put-in-Bay School System handles kids from pre-kindergarten through graduating class. They separate the students by the course that they're on, and this year's graduating class was two kids. Talk about a small class. There is only one franchise restaurant on the island, and that is Subway. And if you look to your right, you'll see the Island General Store. That is the only grocery store on the island, and it is open year-round. On our right is the Beer Barrel Saloon. The Beer Barrel Saloon holds the Guinness World Record for the longest bar. On that site at one time was a bowling alley, a dance hall, and an arcade. This is not the original building. The original building caught fire Memorial Day weekend, 1988, and burnt to the ground. The flames are so high that you can see it from the mainland. They rebuilt in 1989 with bricks and mortar. Coming up on your right is Frosty's Bar and Frosty's Pizza. These are the first brick structures ever built on this road. The country house next to it was the former Smith Hotel. And Pascal's was once the pharmacy and the barber shop. The Roundhouse Bar is popular now as a bar, but in the 1900s it was an ice cream parlor. They used to have, behind the businesses here, they used to have a small amusement park. They had a roller coaster and a carousel. The one business owner remembered the carousel from when he was a child, so he bought and restored one. He bought a 1917 Allen Herschel carousel, had it fully restored, and give it to his daughter, Kimberly. It's called Kimberly's Carousel. Kimberly is now the owner and operator of Frosty's Bar. She was 2 years old when he gave her the carousel, so it's been there a little while. Our next stop is Ferry's Victory Monument, the Visitor Center. The battle, or the War of 1812, the Battle of Lake Erie actually took place in 1813. The monument was built to celebrate 100 years from the victory, so it was built in 1913. It's 352 feet tall. It has a 360-degree viewing deck on top. It is the third largest monument in the United States. Now entering Ferry's Cave and Family Fun Center. There's an antique mall which is free to walk through, not mall, but museum that's free to walk through. There's a snack shack directly across from that. There's Ferry's Cave, and then there's the Butterfly House, and the Butterfly House has a very large gift shop in front of it. There's also the miniature golf and mining for gemstones. Now the fun pack that some of you have, the mining for gemstones is not included. That would be an extra fee. Yeah, it says museum on it, not mall. Sorry. Unfortunately.
Hi, welcome to Ferry. My name is Daniel. I'll be your tour guide today. Is that everybody?
Yep.
Yep. Oh, a few more feet. Everybody make it down the stairs?
Yes.
Okay, just double check it. So, some of you may have noticed the drop in temperature. That is because it's 52 degrees down here. It will always be 52 degrees down here. That means it could be in the hundreds or even in the negative. It will stay 52. So basically, we have free air conditioning and free heating down here year round. Now, how many of you have been dripped on? Yeah. We call those cave kisses. So congratulations, you've been kissed by Ferry's cave. Those come from our stalactites. It is mineral and fresh water, filtered water, so you could drink from it. But please don't. Don't drink from our cave. Our stalagmites or stalactites because of that. But we do have cave art, if you could use your imagination with me real quick. So right here, you may see the head of a lion or a basset hound. There's his body and his tail. And right across is having a staring contest with our box turtle Steve, if you'd like to say hello. And if you have a wide enough imagination, you can even see Homer Simpson taking a nap. Oh yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward. Please be careful. The ceiling does get lower for a moment. So it soaked up all that water, pushing these two limestone pieces together. Now when all the water evaporated and the gypsum became brittle and started to dry up, it broke, falling back downwards, creating the pocket we are currently standing in. You can see that these two pieces were together at one point, with this hill shape right here, and this jagged edge, and this dome shape up here, with the same jagged edge. So it is roughly 5 feet deep right here. Back here black dot? That is soot from old oil lamps. That also means that everywhere you see a black dot, a stalactite will never grow again.
Which one was it? Sorry. 2.5. Yes. That's right.
Can you let her come over and meet and ask her where you were?
No, we used to have a butterfly bush. Look at this one. Look.
Museum. Father was a very much skipper-turned businessman. In the last 20 years of his life, he started collecting antique cars.